The alien fleet, convinced of their invincibility, believes Earth's defenses are nothing more than an afterthought. They make their move, confident that humanity will cower in the face of their overwhelming power. But when Earth's defense grid awakens, they realize too late that underestimating humanity's resolve was their fatal mistake. The alien fleet hovered above Earth's atmosphere, a monstrous array of warships, their weapons primed and their commanders brimming with arrogance. The silence from Earth had been deafening for so long, and the Council had concluded that their target was ripe for conquest. The humans had never shown any resistance. Why would they now? They've been quiet for far too long, the leady commander sneered, a slight smirk tugging at his lips. It's time we show them their place. He gestured toward the holographic map where Earth sat, vulnerable and unguarded. The fleet was prepared, their forces were unmatched, and they believed they would crush Earth in a single strike. This would be nothing more than a formality, the final step in their galactic expansion. Make the first strike, the commander ordered, his voice dripping with contempt. They think their silence is strength. Let's show them how wrong they are. The first shot erupted from the alien flagship, a pulse of energy that streaked through the void, slicing through Earth's atmosphere with terrifying speed. The planet trembled as the blast connected, shaking every inch of its surface. The alien fleet waited in anticipation, expecting to hear the sounds of Earth's demise, an entire planet brought to its knees by their superior power. But Earth did not fall. For a moment, the silence lingered. The council members exchanged glances, unsure whether to laugh or to prepare for a more violent retaliation. They had expected humanity to buckle under the weight of their firepower. Yet, nothing happened. Earth had not fought back. It had merely endured the blow, offering nothing but silence in return. You see, the commander mocked, turning to his officers, their response is predictable. There's nothing to fear. The fleet moved forward, eager to complete their conquest. But as they approached Earth's orbit, something changed. A soft hum reverberated through the vastness of space. The sound grew louder, more intense, until it shook the fabric of the galaxy itself. We have a problem, the officer beside the commander said, her voice sharp with sudden realization. The energy readings, they're off the charts. Before the commander could respond, the unimaginable happened. From deep within Earth's atmosphere, the sky itself seemed to crack open, and then, like a rising tide, a massive defense grid materialized, completely encircling the planet. The aliens watched in shock as thousands of ships, sleek, gleaming, and deceptively simple, emerged from the grid, each one brimming with power. The ships activated their weapons in perfect synchronization, and before the alien fleet could process what was happening, the defense grid fired. The first wave of alien warships disintegrated before their commanders could issue commands. One by one, the ships were obliterated by Earth's pinpoint strikes, their advanced shields crumpling under the unexpected force of the human weapons. They have a defense grid, the commander stammered, his arrogance slipping into disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen. The grid's power seemed to pulse, its energy surging like a living organism that had just awoken from a long slumber. The aliens had believed Earth was defenseless. They had thought their silence was a sign of weakness, a surrender. But it wasn't. It was a carefully calculated move, one that would turn the tables in a way they could never have predicted. The fleet was now scattered. Panic set in. The humans were no longer the ones hiding in the shadows. The defense grid's energy cannons unleashed a second barrage, tearing through the alien ships with ruthless efficiency. The once proud invaders were now scrambling for survival. We underestimated them, the commander whispered, his voice a mix of fear and fury. We thought Earth was weak. As the defense grid's weapons fired again, another fleet of alien ships disappeared into the void, leaving nothing but debris in their wake. And that was before Earth even responded. The silence was broken by the deafening roar of Earth's defense grid firing once again. The once mighty alien fleet, now reduced to scattered remnants, raced to avoid the barrage of energy blasts aimed at them from every direction. They had expected an easy conquest. Earth had always been silent, passive, almost forgotten, but now they were learning the hard way just how wrong they had been. The alien fleet's commander watched in disbelief as his flagship's shields flickered and then failed completely. The first strike from Earth's defense grid had obliterated one of the smaller cruisers, and now his flagship was next in line. "We need to retreat, now!" the second-in-command shouted, his voice high with panic. But the commander, despite his fear, was unwilling to concede. "No, we must regroup. We can still destroy them." Yet the truth was already clear. The aliens had underestimated humanity's strength. The humans had been waiting, silent, calculating, and now they were unleashing an unimaginable power that tore through the alien fleet like a force of nature. There was no way to fight back, no way to outrun the destruction. "Commander, we've lost half of our fleet. The remaining ships are breaking formation," one of the officers reported, his voice thick with terror. "We're outclassed. We can't win this fight." The commander's face twisted in frustration and fear, the realization finally setting in. We never should have underestimated them. He turned away from the screens, his mind racing for a solution. But there was no answer. Earth's defense grid, powered by technology far beyond what they had imagined, was too advanced, too relentless. The aliens had thought their sheer numbers and advanced weaponry would win the day. Now, they were reaping the consequences of their arrogance. Far above Earth, the commander of one of Earth's warships, Commander Jackson, stood at the helm, watching the chaos unfold below. His ship had been one of the first to join the counterattack. And now, with the grid holding the line, it was time to finish the job. "Status report, Lieutenant," he asked, his voice steady, though there was a fire in his eyes. "The alien fleet is in full retreat, sir," the lieutenant replied, his fingers flying over the control panels. "But some of them are attempting to regroup. They've lost their cohesion, but they're still trying to fight." Jackson's lips curled into a grim smile. "They thought they could wipe us out with a single strike. Let's remind them why they were wrong." With a simple nod, Jackson gave the order. The warships fired in perfect synchronization, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that shattered the last of the alien defenses. One by one, the alien ships disintegrated, their once pristine hulls torn apart by the sheer force of humanity's technological superiority. The screen flickered, showing an alien cruiser desperately trying to break free from the advancing Earth. "Fleet, target that ship," Jackson ordered. "I want it destroyed, now." The warship's cannons fired in rapid succession, each shot finding its mark. The alien cruiser erupted in a ball of flame and debris, leaving nothing behind but the remnants of its existence. The rest of the alien fleet, now leaderless and shattered, scattered in every direction. But it was too late. Earth had already proven its point. Back on the alien command ship, the leader of the council stood in stunned silence. The reports from the field came in faster now. Ships lost, fleets scattered, and their once great empire crumbling under the weight of Earth's response. "We've failed," the council leader muttered to himself, his voice thick with disbelief. "How could we have been so blind?" Another member of the council, his face twisted with rage, slammed his fist on the control panel. "We underestimated them. We thought their silence was a sign of weakness, but they were biding their time. And now look at us. We are nothing more than an afterthought." The council leader, his eyes narrowing, stood tall despite the overwhelming odds. "We still have the power to turn this around. We must regroup and strike back. If we don't, we'll be obliterated." The second-in-command finished. For him. "We've already lost. Earth's defense grid is too powerful. Their technology, it's nothing like we've ever seen." The council leader stared at the remaining fleet on the holographic screen. They were down to a handful of ships, now none of them capable of challenging the might of Earth's forces. His mind raced, and for the first time in his career, he was unsure of what to do. The pride of their empire had been shattered, and they were now at the mercy of the humans they had once dismissed as insignificant. The room was filled with an oppressive silence, broken only by the soft hum of the console. The alien empire's future was hanging by a thread, and they knew it. They had thought Earth's silence meant submission. They had been wrong. On Earth, the warships began to regroup, their mission far from over. Though the alien fleet had been decimated, the world's leaders knew that this victory was just the beginning. Earth had shown its strength, but the galaxy had taken notice. The quiet planet that had been left alone for so long was now a force to be reckoned with. Commander Jackson looked out at the stars, his mind filled with a mix of pride and resolve. This is just the start. We've shown them our power. Now the galaxy will remember Earth's name. And for the first time in centuries, Earth had a future as a galactic power, one that no longer had to hide in the shadows. Humanity had spoken, and the universe would listen. The alien fleet was in tatters. Once a formidable force that stretched across the stars, the fleet had been reduced to mere remnants scattered across the void. The warships, once proud and invincible, were now little more than drifting husks, some burning with the after-effects of humanity's brutal counterattacks. Earth's defense grid had unleashed a fury that the aliens had not expected. It had decimated their forces in a matter of hours, leaving them scrambling to regroup in the chaos that followed. "We've lost almost everything," the alien fleet commander muttered, staring at the holographic map. His once imposing fleet was now reduced to fragments, scattered in all directions. The reports from the remaining ships were grim, each one confirming what the commander already knew. Earth had won. "We underestimated them," the second-in-command said, his voice heavy with frustration. "We thought we could break them in a single strike. We thought they were weak." He paused, his eyes narrowed in disbelief. But they weren't. They were waiting. The commander remained silent, his eyes fixed on the empty space before him. There was nothing left to say. They had been wrong. Terribly wrong. "How could we have been so blind?" the commander whispered. "We ignored the warning signs. Their silence wasn't submission, it was strategy." The second-in-command's face hardened. "Now we pay for that mistake. They've shown us what true power looks like, and we are nothing compared to it." The fleet commander clenched his fists. They had taken countless worlds, wiped out entire civilizations, and subjugated the weak. But Earth had changed everything. The humans had waited, bided their time, and when the moment came, they had struck back with a vengeance. The entire alien empire had been forced to watch as their superiority crumbled in an instant. Far across the galaxy, the alien council met in a somber, tense room. The once strong alien empire, known for its ruthlessness and vast reach, was now on the brink of total collapse. The council members stood in silence, each one grappling with the reality of their failure. "We've made a catastrophic error," one of the council members said, her voice barely audible. "Our fleet is gone. The humans, they've shown us their strength." The leader of the council, an elder whose face had long since lost its youthful arrogance, stood at the center of the room, his expression hard as stone. He had seen empires rise and fall, but never had he imagined that the downfall of his own would come at the hands of a species so seemingly insignificant. "They have exposed our weakness," the council leader said, his voice low and filled with regret. "We thought their silence was a weakness, that they were hiding in fear. Instead, they were preparing." One of the younger council members, his face flushed with anger, slammed his fist on the table. "What do we do now? We can't just sit here and let them wipe us out. There must be something we can do." The council leader closed his eyes for a moment, as though deep in thought. He knew the truth. There was no simple way out. The human defense grid was impenetrable, their weapons too advanced, their tactics too precise. They had already proven that they could strike harder than anyone had ever anticipated. "We could retreat," suggested another council member, her voice trembling slightly. "Regroup and rebuild. We might not be able to defeat them now, but we can come back stronger." The council leader shook his head slowly. "We cannot afford to retreat. We've lost too much already. We must find another way." The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of their failure pressing down on every member. There was no easy answer. They had underestimated Earth in the worst possible way. Back on Earth, the victory was being celebrated as a turning point for humanity. News of the defeat of the alien fleet spread quickly across the planet, and the atmosphere was charged with a sense of unity and pride. For centuries, Earth had been a quiet observer of galactic events, but now it was clear the humans had made their mark on the universe. Commander Jackson stood in front of a massive holographic display, watching the aftermath of the battle unfold. The alien fleet had been shattered, but humanity knew better than to assume their victory was final. The galaxy was vast, and while one empire had been defeated, others would surely take notice. "We've proven ourselves today," Jackson said, his voice steady and confident. "But this is just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy that Earth is not to be underestimated, and now we have to be ready for whatever comes next." The crew around him nodded in agreement, their faces a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. They had fought hard, but they knew that the real work had only just begun. Earth had taken its place in the galaxy, and there was no going back. Jackson's eyes lingered on the stars ahead, the vast unknown that stretched out before them. Earth had once been a silent, passive observer, but now humanity's voice would be heard, and it would not be silenced again. Back in the alien council chamber, the mood had shifted. The once proud empire was now fractured, and the council's arrogance had given way to fear. The alien leader knew that their empire could not survive in the face of this new reality. The humans had shown them a level of power that no one had expected, and now it was clear. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. "We have no choice but to face them," the council leader said, his voice heavy with resolve. "We will regroup, rebuild, and we will come back stronger. We have to." One of the younger council members stepped forward. "And if Earth's power is greater than we anticipated, what if they come for us again?" The council leader turned toward the younger member, his eyes cold and determined. "Then we will fight. We will never bow to them. The galaxy will know that we do not go down without a fight." The council knew that they had lost their first battle, but they were not yet finished. The war for the galaxy was far from over. The alien fleet was nothing more than fragments now, scattered across the void, every attempt at regrouping swiftly cut down by Earth's relentless defense grid. The once mighty alien empire, whose arrogance had spanned galaxies, now faced a new and terrifying reality. Their pride had led them to their downfall, and now they had no choice but to pick up the pieces. On the alien command ship, the council leader stood at the helm, his expression cold, but there was a storm behind his eyes. The reports continued to flood in. Earth had shown them no mercy, and now they had been reduced to nothing but survivors. The galaxy watched as their empire crumbled, their defeat echoing across the stars. "There's no escaping it now," one of the council members said, his voice hoarse from the weight of their failure. "We were foolish to think we could wipe them out so easily." The council leader turned, his eyes narrowing. "We will not surrender. Our empire may have been brought to its knees, but we are not finished yet." "But what of Earth?" Another council member asked, her voice trembling. "They have proven themselves to be more powerful than we ever imagined. What if they come for us again?" The leader stood silent for a moment, the weight of their situation pressing down on him. We have no choice. We must regroup, rebuild, and make them see that we are not defeated yet. But make no mistake, Earth has shown its power. It will never be the same again. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the mood was one of quiet triumph. The defense grid had worked flawlessly, its weapons devastating the alien fleet with brutal precision. Earth had shown the galaxy its strength, and the news of the victory spread like wildfire. The planet, once isolated and ignored, was now a dominant force in the galaxy. Commander Jackson stood at the bridge of his warship, staring out at the stars. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. Earth had made its presence known, but there were others out there, other forces who would likely see Earth's rise as a threat. "Victory is ours," Jackson said, his voice steady but tinged with the knowledge of what lay ahead. "But this isn't the end. We've proven our strength, but now we have to be ready for the challenges to come." The crew around him nodded, their faces a mixture of pride and resolve. Earth had no illusions about the future. They had won the battle, but the galaxy was vast, and new threats would inevitably emerge. But one thing was certain: Earth would no longer be a passive observer. The days of silence were over. Back in the alien council chamber, the leader's face was tight with frustration. "We must prepare for the next phase. Earth has won a battle, but the war is far from over." "What are we to do?" the second-in-command asked. "We've lost most of our fleet. Earth's defense grid is too powerful." The council leader looked out at the stars, the vastness of space now filled with uncertainty. "We rebuild. We'll strike again when the time is right." But deep down he knew the truth. Earth had crossed a threshold. The silence that had once been perceived as weakness was now their greatest weapon. They had waited, biding their time, and when the moment came, they had acted with unmatched precision. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now they would have to contend with Earth's rise to power. "We will regroup, but we must prepare for a new era," the council leader said, his voice low and resolute. "One in which we no longer control the galaxy, one in which Earth has a place among the stars." As the council prepared for their next move, they knew that their empire could never be the same. Earth's defense grid had shifted the balance of power, and now the entire galaxy would feel its ripple. Back on Earth, as humanity celebrated its victory, the leaders of the planet stood united. They knew that they had entered a new chapter in their history. Earth's silence was no longer a weakness. It was a strategy that had proven itself in the face of overwhelming odds. The galaxy had seen Earth's might, and it would never forget. "We've shown the galaxy what Earth is capable of," Commander Jackson said, his voice resolute. "But this is only the beginning. We will rise, not just as survivors, but as a force to be reckoned with." And as the stars above shimmered, Earth's place in the galaxy was forever solidified. The era of silence was over. The era of Earth's dominance had begun,